The night was colder than anyone on the frozen planet expected. A sharp wind moved across the white desert, carrying snow like tiny needles. The temperature kept falling, and even the mountains looked like they were shivering in the middle of this endless snow. An alien mother was crawling across the ground. Her skin was pale blue, and her long white hair was sticking to her face because of the freezing air. She held 2 newborn babies close to her chest, wrapping them in a torn blanket that was not enough to fight the cold. Her arms were shaking, and her breath came out in small clouds. Her name was Sierra. Weak, tired, and bleeding from her injuries, she still refused to let go of the tiny lives she was carrying. She looked at her twin babies, 1 boy, 1 girl. Their skin glowed softly, with small golden patterns moving slowly like light under the surface. The glow was beautiful, but dangerous, because it was the very reason she was left to die. Sierra whispered, her voice breaking, "Don't be afraid. I am here." But even she knew she didn't have much time left. She tried to stand, but her legs collapsed again. She pressed the babies closer and looked behind her. Far away, near the dark horizon, she could still see the torches of her former tribe. They had abandoned her without mercy. A few hours ago, the tribe elders had gathered around her. The twins were only minutes old when the light marks appeared on their skin. Fear spread like fire. The tribe said the babies were cursed, born with the starlight disease, a legend that brought bad luck and death. No one wanted to even touch them, so they blamed the mother. The tribe leader pointed at her with cold eyes and said, "Leave our camp. Take the cursed children and walk into the snow. The spirits will decide your fate." She begged, she cried, but no one listened. No one helped. Now she was alone with 2 infants who were already shivering. She knew they would die if she didn't find shelter soon. But her vision was getting blurry. The cold was crawling inside her bones. She whispered, "Just a little more. Stay with me, my children." The wind howled louder, as if warning her that she was close to the end. Suddenly, one of the babies started crying softly. The sound was weak, like a tiny vibration in the air. But the glow under their skin brightened for a moment. Lighting the snow around them, Sierra quickly covered them. "No, not now. Please, don't glow. They will find us." But she knew it was useless. The glow was natural. It happened whenever the twins felt fear or hunger. She dragged herself across the snow again, her fingers turning numb. She didn't know where she was going. She only hoped for a miracle, even though she had stopped believing in miracles long ago. Her breaths grew slower. The world around her became quiet. Snowflakes landed on her eyelashes and stayed there. Her body felt like stone. She whispered one last time, "I am sorry. I tried." Sierra closed her eyes. The twins were still alive, but their cries became softer. Their glowing skin began to fade. Like a candle losing its flame, the wind continued blowing. Then something different happened. Distant lights suddenly moved across the snowy ground. Not the orange torchlight of her tribe. This was white, controlled, mechanical. A pair of bright beams cut through the darkness, growing larger and larger. It was a human exploration rover. The large machine rolled across the snow, its engines humming. Inside the rover sat a human named Evan Hayes, a researcher sent to study the frozen planet's atmosphere. He was adjusting his equipment. Following a strange signal that his scanner picked up earlier, Evan leaned closer to the screen. "What is that?" "Energy readings from a living source." He slowed the rover when he saw something on the ground. At first, it looked like a pile of snow. But as he came closer, he saw hair, a hand, and something wrapped in cloth. Evan jumped out of the rover immediately. The cold hit him hard, but he pushed through it. He knelt beside the alien mother. "Hey, can you hear me?" he said, shaking her gently. No response. Then he heard it, a soft, tiny cry. Evan carefully lifted the cloth and froze. Two glowing newborns stared back at him with bright, golden eyes. Their skin softly illuminated the air. They were breathing, but weak. His heart stopped. What happened here? He checked the mother again. She was alive, but barely. Evan knew one thing: if he didn't act now, all three would die in minutes. He picked up the mother and the twins, one in each arm, and carried them to the rover as fast as he could. The baby's glow reflected on his suit, lighting the path in the darkness. Before closing the rover door, Evan looked out at the frozen world and whispered to himself, who did this to them? He didn't know it yet. But saving them tonight would change the fate of the entire planet. The rover door slid shut, sealing the warmth inside. Evan placed the alien mother and her newborn twins on the medical bench. The inside lights made the glowing patterns on the babies' skin shine even brighter. He stared in disbelief. He had seen many alien species during research missions, but never babies like these, so small, so fragile, yet glowing with a strange, soft energy that looked alive. Evan gently pressed 2 fingers on the mother's neck. There was a pulse, faint but real. Hang in there, he whispered. You're not dying on my watch. He grabbed a thermal blanket and wrapped it around her and the infants. The babies' cries were weak, but they were still fighting. Their small hands moved with slow, trembling motions. Clutching at the blanket, Evan turned on the heater. Warm air filled the rover. He checked the scanner again. Life signs, 3. Temperature, dangerously low. Energy levels, unknown, unstable. His mind raced. What are you two? He whispered to the glowing twins, as if answering him. The baby boy's eyes opened to bright gold orbs, almost reflective. Evan felt a strange shock inside his chest, like the baby was studying him. Then the girl opened her eyes too. Her glow pulsed gently, matching the rhythm of Evan's own breathing. It didn't feel dangerous. It felt innocent. Evan sat down, trying to understand what he had stumbled into. He replayed the scene in his mind. A mother abandoned in the snow, twins glowing like tiny stars. Who leaves a woman and newborns to die? He whispered angrily. He checked the mother's hands. Bruises, cuts, signs of struggle. This wasn't an accident. Someone had hurt her badly. The rover shook slightly as the storm outside grew stronger. Snow hit the windows in waves, making the whole world outside look like a moving white wall. Evan turned up the heat again. The mother shivered and then slowly opened her eyes. Her voice was a whisper, broken and weak. The children, safe. Evan leaned closer. Yes, they're safe. You're safe. What happened to you? She blinked slowly, trying to focus on his face. Her breath trembled. Hunters. Tribe. They fear the light. She looked down at the twins as if apologizing for something she couldn't control. Evan frowned. Fear? Why? She swallowed. The twins, born with starlight. A sign of power. But the tribe believes. Curse. Evan looked at the glowing patterns again. A curse. They look harmless. Sierra closed her eyes for a moment. Not curse. Gift. Rare. Very rare. But fear. Stronger than truth. Evan understood. Fear made people cruel across all worlds. The rover suddenly beeped. A warning flashed on the screen. Movement detected outside. Evan stood, tense. What now? The scanner showed several heat signatures moving across the snow. Coming closer, the mother's eyes widened with fear. They follow. Always. Hunters do not stop. Why? Evan asked. They want the children dead, she whispered. Evan froze. His heart pounded with anger and disbelief. They want to kill newborns. The mother nodded weakly. Prophecy. Says Starlight Twins bring change. Tribe fears change. Evan clenched his fists. No one is killing these kids. Not while I'm alive. Outside, the shapes moved slowly but surely toward the rover. Evan could see faint shadows outside the windows. They carried spears with glowing tips, primitive but deadly. The mother reached out with a shaking hand. Please, save them. Evan looked at her face, pale, tired, but filled with a mother's desperate love. Then he looked at the twins, who were watching him with bright, trusting eyes. He made a choice. I will protect all three of you, he said firmly. I promise. The mother's eyes softened, but tears formed. You are human. Why help us? Evan shook his head. Because someone has to. The rover lights flickered as the storm intensified. The shadows outside grew clearer. The hunters were getting closer. Evan grabbed his thermal suit, powered up the rover's battery shield, and checked his emergency defense module. His hands were shaking not from fear, but from adrenaline. He wasn't a soldier. He wasn't a hero. He was just a scientist. But tonight he would fight like a warrior. The mother whispered again. They will not stop. Evan looked at the twins one last time. Their tiny hands were reaching toward him, glowing softly with a warmth that felt almost alive. They won't, Evan said, because I won't let them reach you. He stepped toward the rover door. The storm howled. The shadows moved. And Evan Hayes prepared to face a world that wanted the glowing twins dead. Inside the rover, the air felt warmer, but the fear was still cold. The alien mother Cyril lay weak on the bench, holding her children close as the storm raged outside. Evan checked the scanners again. The hunters' heat signatures were slowly moving around the rover, like wolves circling prey. But for the moment, they hadn't attacked. Evan sat next to the twins, his eyes fixed on the strange golden patterns glowing under their skin. They weren't random. The lines moved softly, almost like they were following a rhythm. He reached out carefully, touching the baby boy's arm. The glow brightened at his touch, warm, gentle, almost comforting. The baby girl followed with a soft coo, her little hand reaching for Evan's finger. Evan smiled for the first time that night. Hey there. You two are full of surprises. The mother watched weakly. They know you are safe. Evan looked at her. They can tell. She nodded slowly. Starlight-born feel intentions. They sense hearts, not words. Evan froze. They can sense emotions. Yes, she whispered. It is their gift. And their curse. Evan leaned back, trying to absorb everything. Why would your tribe fear children like them? Syrah closed her eyes as memories resurfaced, painful ones. Long ago, she said slowly, there were twins like these, born with the same golden light. They grew strong, too strong. Some say they brought prosperity. Others say they brought storms. Evan frowned. So no one knows the truth. Fear changed the story, she whispered. And fear became tradition. The baby's glow flickered, reflecting Syrah's sadness. Evan's voice softened. What about you? How did the tribe treat you before this? Syrah hesitated. I was healer. Respected. But when the glow appeared on the twins, respect died. They called me cursed mother. Said my blood was tainted. Her voice cracked. Evan felt anger rising again. That's not right. None of this is right. He looked at the twins again. Their glow wasn't chaotic or wild. It pulsed steadily, like a heartbeat. It didn't feel dangerous at all. He leaned closer, whispering to Syrah, I think they're special, not cursed. Syrah's eyes softened, but she looked scared. Promise me. Protect them, even if I don't survive. Evan shook his head quickly. Don't talk like that. You're going to make it. but she didn't answer. Exhaustion pulled her into unconsciousness again. Evan checked her pulse, still weak, but steady. He wrapped another blanket around her. The twins, sensing her fading energy, crawled closer to her chest and pressed their glowing hands against her skin. And something unbelievable happened. Sierra's pulse grew stronger. Evan watched, stunned. Are they healing her? The twins' glow spread across Sierra's body like soft waves of golden light. It wasn't bright or violent. It was peaceful, gentle. When the glow faded, Sierra's breathing had stabilized. Evan whispered, "Your babies are keeping you alive." He looked at the twins with new awe. Their gift wasn't only emotional sensing. They had healing inside them. But before he could process this new revelation, the rover shook violently. A loud bang echoed from the outside. The hunters were testing the rover's walls. Evan jumped to his feet. Great. They're getting impatient. He checked the scanners. The hunters were spreading out, surrounding the rover fully. Their weapons were pointed. Their torch-like spears glowed brighter. They were preparing for a coordinated attack. Why tonight? He murmured. Why chase a mother and newborns through a storm? He felt a soft tug on his sleeve. The baby girl was looking at him, her golden eyes reflecting his worried face. Her tiny hand glowed. Again, then the baby boy did the same. The glow wasn't random, it was pointing toward the back of the rover. Evan turned. There was a narrow service tunnel there that he rarely used. A passageway that led under the rover and into the deeper snowy fields. It wasn't meant for escape. But it could work. Evan stared at the twins. Are you guiding me? They continued glowing in the same direction, their small hands reaching out. Evan swallowed. Okay, I trust you. He checked the mother again. She was still unconscious, but no longer fading. He lifted her gently and wrapped her securely. Then he placed both babies against his chest inside his thermal suit. Their glow warmed him like a living lantern. The banging outside grew louder. Hunters were shouting in their strange language. No more time. Evan opened the service hatch. A rush of cold air hit him. But he pushed forward. Before leaving, he looked back at the rover, safe, warm, familiar. Then he stepped into the snow with the mother and the twins. The babies' golden glow lit the path under his feet, and for the first time tonight, Evan realized the twins weren't only trying to survive. They were leading him somewhere important, somewhere the hunters didn't want them to reach. Asterisk. Evan carried Sierra and the newborn twins through the service tunnel under the rover. The cold air hit him like a wall, but the twins' golden glow gave a soft warmth against his chest, as if guiding him through the darkness. Behind them, the hunters finally reached the rover. A loud metallic clang echoed through the night. Then, another dot, then many dot. Evan didn't need to look back to know they were trying to break through the door he had just escaped from. Snow crunched beneath his boots as he lifted Sierra's weak body higher on his shoulder. The twins, tucked safely inside his thermal suit, stayed quiet, too quiet. Their glow flickered faintly, as if reacting to danger. The wind howled again, carrying strange voices. Hunter voices, clicks, growls, sharp whistles. Evan turned his head. Shapes were moving toward the tunnel entrance, too fast, too many. We need to move, he whispered. He didn't know if Sierra could hear him, but he said it anyway. The snowfield ahead was wide and open, with only scattered ice rocks giving any sort of cover. The storm made everything blurry, turning the world into shifting shades of white and gray. But the twins kept glowing in one direction, as if showing him a path only they could see. Evan trusted them. He had no other choice. He ran. His legs burned. The cold stabbed through his suit. The wind nearly pushed him over. But he kept moving. Behind him, a deep, horn-like cry split the air. The hunters had found the tunnel, and now they were coming. Evan risked a look back. Shadows emerged from the storm. Tall figures with dark armor made of bone and metal. Their eyes glowed faintly red under the snow masks they wore. Each carried a weapon with a crackling blue tip plasma spears. One of them pointed at Evan and shouted in their alien language. Evan didn't know the words, but the meaning was clear. Kill the twins. Evan pushed harder. This is bad, he muttered, breath shaking. Really bad. The twins suddenly glowed brighter, their light pulsing urgently. Evan looked down. Are you warning me? He whispered. They pulsed again, yes. He slid behind a tall ice rock just as a glowing spear shot past him, hitting the ground and exploding into shards of blue flame. Evan shielded Sierra and the babies with his body as ice rained over them. The hunters were close now, close enough for Evan to hear their angry breathing. He peeked from behind the rock. 3 hunters ran toward him, weapons raised. Their footsteps were heavy, crushing the snow with powerful strides. Evan placed Sierra gently behind him, her body half buried in snow, but protected. He tightened his gloves and picked up a broken piece of ice, useless against plasma weapons. But he had to try something. He stood up. Stay back, he shouted. The hunters didn't understand him, but they understood his stance. They charged. Evan threw the ice chunk. It bounced harmlessly off one hunter's chest. Great, Evan muttered. Real effective. The lead hunter lunged, spear ready to strike. But before the weapon could hit, a sudden burst of golden light exploded from Evan's chest. The twins, their glow widened, forming a thin shield of shimmering energy. The spear struck the golden barrier, sending sparks in all directions. The hunter stumbled back, shocked. Evan stared in disbelief. They're protecting us. The twins pulsed again, stronger this time, as if encouraging him to run. He didn't waste a second. Evan grabbed Sarah, lifted her onto his shoulder again, and sprinted away. The hunters roared behind him, furious that their weapons had failed. The snowstorm thickened. Evan could barely see 10 meters ahead. The wind felt like knives slashing across his face, but the golden glow kept shining within his suit, lighting the path forward. The hunters shouted commands to each other. More glowing spears flew through the storm, barely missing Evan. Explosions erupted around him, shaking the ground. Then a spear hit the ice just behind Evan's foot, throwing him forward. He fell hard, Sierra slipping from his grip. No. He crawled to her quickly. She was still breathing, but weak. Evan heard footsteps approaching fast. The hunters were almost on top of them. He lifted Sierra again, even though his arms felt like breaking. His muscles screamed. His vision blurred. But he didn't stop. Come on. He whispered. The twins' glow turned bright gold, most blinding. And then Evan saw it, far ahead, through the storm. A dark opening. A cave. A place to hide. The twins glowed even brighter, confirming what he hoped. This was the place they were leading him to. Evan ran with every ounce of strength he had left. The hunters roared behind him. Spears flew. Ice cracked. The storm screamed, but Evan didn't look back. He reached the cave entrance and dove inside. Darkness swallowed them. The outside world went silent. Evan leaned against the cave wall, panting, shaking, clutching the mother and her babies. The twins' glow softened, calming Ty for the moment. They were safe, but deeper inside the cave. Something ancient stirred, and Evan realized. The twins weren't just leading him to safety. They were leading him to a secret, a truth buried for centuries. The cave swallowed Evan and the others in complete darkness until the twins' soft golden glow lit the walls around them. The light revealed that the cave wasn't just a simple hole in the mountain. It was an ancient tunnel, wide and carved with strange patterns. Evan adjusted his grip on the unconscious alien mother, Sira, and looked around. The walls glimmered like frozen glass, shaped by centuries of wind and storms. But there was something unnatural about the smooth lines scratched into the ice, symbols repeating, curving, glowing, faintly blue like the markings on the twins' skin. Evan whispered, "This place. It's connected to them." The twins reacted immediately. Their glow brightened and stretched toward the deeper parts of the cave, like tiny stars pulling him forward. Outside, the hunter's shouts became sharper. They had reached the cave entrance. Their torch-like spears cast moving shadows along the walls. Evan backed deeper inside. His heart was pounding, the sound echoing in his ears. He held Sira tightly and moved deeper into the labyrinth of tunnels. The deeper he walked, the colder it became. Frost formed on his eyebrows and gloves. The air was thin, heavy, almost humming with energy. The twins' glow pulsed. They weren't scared. They were guiding him. Evan carefully set Sira down and checked her breathing. Still weak. Still alive. "Hang in there," he whispered. He lifted her again and continued behind him. The hunters entered the cave. Their footsteps echoed, sharp and threatening. They clicked to each other, scanning the walls with glowing weapons. Evan ducked behind a sharp wall of ice and waited. The hunters' silhouettes appeared at the entrance of the tunnel, tall, powerful, unmistakably determined. They followed the faint heat trail Evan left in the snow. The twins' glow flickered, warning him, all right, we keep moving." He hurried deeper. The path split in 3 directions. Left narrow, with ice spikes hanging like teeth. Right steep, slippery slope. Middle smooth, glowing slightly. The twins pulsed toward the middle tunnel. "Okay," Evan whispered. "I trust you, eh?" He hurried into the middle passage. The hunters followed seconds later. Their voices bounced across the ice, getting closer. The deeper Evan walked, the stranger the cave became. The ice on the walls was no longer random. It formed shape spirals, circles, lines like ancient writing. He brushed his glove across one of the symbols. It warmed under his touch. "What is this place?" he murmured. Sira stirred for a moment, whispering something too weak to understand. The twins reacted again, not with fear, but with purpose. Their glows streamed across the ice like golden smoke. And then Evan heard it. A rumble. The ground shook beneath him. He gasped. What did they activate? Cracks spread along the walls. Ice dust fell like shimmering snow. The tunnel behind him quivered, ready to collapse. The hunters sensed it too. Their shouts turned urgent. They broke into a run. Evan sprinted with everything he had left. He slipped, regained balance, nearly dropped Sira. The air shook with every rumble. The cave seemed alive, awake after centuries of silence. A spear flew past him, exploding against the wall and creating a blinding flash. Ice rained down. Evan ducked and ran faster. The twins glowed brighter, signaling him to turn left. He followed blindly. The tunnel narrowed, forcing him to squeeze through. Behind him the cave collapsed. Ice thundered down. Rocks shattered. A wall of snow sealed the tunnel, trapping the hunters on the other side. Silence. Evan leaned against the wall, gasping. We made it. The twins' glow softened. Their energy had guided him just in time. But the danger wasn't over. Ahead of him was an enormous cavern so large that the twins' glow barely touched its ceiling. The walls sparkled with blue and gold fragments. In the center of the cavern stood something impossible, a giant pillar of crystal. Rising from floor to ceiling, Ancient carvings spiraled around it, and, at the base, two shapes dot statues, both shaped like infants with the same glowing patterns the twins had. Evan's breath caught. This is a shrine. He stepped closer, slowly. The air around the statues hummed with warmth, almost like a heartbeat. Syrah's weak voice broke the silence. Starlight. Sanctuary. Evan turned sharply. You're awake. Her eyes opened slowly. She looked at the statues and tears filled her eyes. For centuries, our people forgot, feared, twisted the truth. She looked at the twins. But this place, it remembers. Evan helped her sit. What is this place, Syrah? She touched the icy ground gently. The birthplace of the first Starlight twins. Long ago, they protected this world, guided it. Their power was a blessing, not a curse. Evan felt a chill that wasn't from the cold, and your tribe forgot. They forgot, she whispered. And now they hunt their own future. The twins crawled closer to the crystal pillar. Their glow blended with the carvings, something ancient. Awakened, the pillar shined. The air vibrate. The ground trembled again, but this time, it wasn't collapsing, it was opening. A hidden door formed within the crystal light. Syrah gasped. They unlocked it. Evan stared at the twins. You too. What are you leading us to? The ancient door of crystal slowly slid open, releasing a warm wave of light that washed across the cavern. Evan shielded his eyes, but the twins didn't flinch. Their glow answered the light like two small suns waking from sleep. When the brightness faded, a narrow passage appeared, smooth, perfect, untouched by time. Evan stared. This place has been sealed for centuries. Syrah nodded weakly. The warmth from the crystal seemed to strengthen her. Only Starlight-born can open it. No one else. Evan looked down at the twins, crawling forward with tiny, determined motions, as if they knew exactly where they were going. Just babies, Evan whispered, but acting like they've been here before. Syrah's voice trembled. Maybe they have. Their souls. Their energy. Legends say Starlight twins carry memories of the first ones. Evan felt a shiver run down his spine. Reincarnation. I don't know the human word, Syrah whispered. But yes, something like that. The twins paused at the entrance of the passageway and looked back at Evan with glowing eyes, as if saying, "Come with us." Evan carried Syrah and followed. The passage was warm, unlike the icy tunnel behind them. The walls glowed faintly blue, giving off a hum that felt like music trapped inside the stone. Syrah touched the wall gently. This place is older than our tribe, older than my ancestors. It was built by the first Starlight Bearers to protect the world. They walked deeper. Carvings on the walls showed a story. Glowing twins standing between tribes, calming storms, healing wounds, guiding migrations. They weren't destroyers, they were protectors, Evan whispered. Your tribe feared the truth. No, Syrah said quietly. They forgot the truth. And when people forget, fear fills the empty space. As they moved forward, the tunnel opened into a circular chamber filled with shimmering crystal structures. In the center stood a raised platform covered in ancient symbols. The twins crawled straight to it. Syrah gasped. They recognize it. Evan gently set her down. What is that place? The Heartstone Altar, she whispered, where the first Starlight twins awaken their gift. Evan watched the babies climb onto the smooth platform. Their glow spread across the symbols like golden ink flowing through ancient lines. The entire platform lit up, shining so bright that Evan stepped back. The chamber began to vibrate. Then the air changed. It felt warmer, softer, full of life. The twins sat in the middle of the platform, their eyes glowing like molten gold. They looked too calm for infants, too aware, to connect it to something ancient. Suddenly, a deep voice echoed through the chamber. Not a voice from a person, a voice from the stone itself. Starlight returns. Evan's heart stopped. He looked around, terrified and amazed. Who said that? Sira bowed her head. The Heartstone speaks. It only awakens for destiny. The voice boomed again, vibrating through every bone in Evan's body. Darkness rises beyond the ice. Only the chosen light may restore balance. Evan exchanged a glance with Sarah. What kind of darkness? Sira whispered. Long before our tribes existed, a great storm of world-eating winter was held back by the first twins. Without them, the land becomes ice again. Evan felt dread forming like ice in his chest. And now? Sira closed her eyes. The storm is returning. The twins glowed brighter, as if agreeing. The Heartstone spoke again. Protect the children. Their light will decide the fate of this world. Evan swallowed hard. So, this is why the hunters wanted them dead. They feared the prophecy. Sira nodded. Yes, they believed killing the twins would stop change. But destroying them would doom us all. Evan stepped forward, looking at the glowing infants. You too. You're not just special. You're the answer to something much bigger. The twins reached out with tiny glowing hands, touching the platform. Their light spread through the entire chamber, showing long-forgotten scenes in the walls like hologram storms freezing villages. Tribes fighting over warmth, the first Starlight twins calming the raging winds. Evan whispered. They're showing us the future and the past. Sarah took a shaky breath. Evan, you must protect them with your life. This world needs their light. He nodded slowly. I've already made that promise. But before Sarah could respond, a loud cracking sound echoed through the cavern. Evan spun around. The far wall had split open. Snow and wind blasted into the chamber. And in the opening, silhouettes appeared, tall, armed, furious. The hunters had found another entrance. Sira's eyes widened. No, not here. Not in the Heartstone. Evan stepped in front of the twins. Fists clenched, the hunters raised their spears. The twins looked at Evan. Their glow turned blinding. Something big was about to happen. Something that would change everything. Asterisk. The cavern shook as the hunters stepped through the cracked wall, their cold eyes glowing under their bone masks. Snow blew around them like ghosts entering the sacred chamber. The Heartstone's warm light clashed with the icy wind, creating a frightening mix of calm and chaos. Evan stood in front of the twins on the glowing altar, his arms spread wide. Behind him, the infants glowed brighter with every heartbeat, their golden patterns swirling like living fire. Sira tried to stand, leaning on the wall for support, but she was too weak. Evan, they cannot fight inside the Heartstone. This place is sacred. The hunters didn't care. Their leader stepped forward tall, armored with ancient bone plates, spear humming with energy. He shouted something in their alien language, his voice full of hatred and fear. Evan didn't understand the words, but he understood the meaning. Give us the twins, or die. Evan raised his voice, steady despite the fear running through him. You're making a mistake. They're not cursed. They're the only hope for this world. The leader growled, furious. He slammed the spear against the floor. The spark lit up the chamber. Another hunter shouted back, pointing at the glowing twins, terrified of their light. Sira cried out weakly, Stop! You do not understand. If you harm them, the world will freeze again. But the hunters only grew angrier. They stepped forward, weapons raised. Evan clenched his fists, breathing hard. He wasn't a warrior. He wasn't trained. But he wasn't going to step aside. Not now. Not after everything. he whispered to himself. I promised I wouldn't let anything happen to you. The twins must have heard him because at that moment, their glow surged. A wave of golden light burst outward, pushing the wind back and stopping the hunters mid-step. Their spears vibrated violently, reacting to the light, but the hunters resisted. Their leader roared and lunged forward. Evan blocked him, pushing against the spear with both hands. The weapon hissed, heating his gloves. The leader snarled, trying to force the spear closer. But Evan planted his feet and refused to move. Behind him, the twins' glow intensified. Light crawled across the floor, rising like living energy. The Heartstone pulsed. The ancient voice echoed again. Stand firm, human. The light answers your courage. Evan felt warmth rushing through his body, protecting him from the spear's heat. The twins' glow wrapped around his arms like armor made of starlight. The leader growled and swung again. This time, Evan caught the spear with one hand. The hunters gasped. Evan didn't understand how he was that strong, but the Heartstone's power flowed through him, not giving him violence, but giving him protection. He spoke loudly, voice echoing across the chamber. This is their world too, and they will live. The hunters hesitated. Some stepped back, but Wanyang, reckless, scared through his spear directly at the twins. Sira screamed. Evan spun around. Too late, the spear flew fast but stopped inches from the twins' heads, frozen. Mid-air, the air filled with pure golden light. The twins levitated slightly, their glow swirling faster, brighter, becoming almost blinding. Their tiny eyes opened fully, both shining like small suns. A wind rose from their bodies warm. Powerful, ancient, the hunters fell back, shielding their faces. Even Evan felt the energy pushing him. Gently aside, the Heartstone voice boomed with thunder. The light has awakened. Suddenly, the golden glow blasted outward, filling every corner of the cavern. It was not violent, it was cleansing. Weapons dissolved into dust. Ice melted from the walls. The storm outside silenced instantly. The hunters collapsed to their knees, trembling. Their leader dropped his broken spear and stared at the twins with wide, terrified eyes. The golden light faded slowly, leaving everything calm and warm. The twins floated down gently into Evan's arms. He held them close. Shaking with shock, Sira cried softly. Overwhelmed, the hunters rose to their feet, lowly, unsure. Their leader stepped forward and unthinkably removed his mask. His face was scarred, stern. But his eyes held something new. Not fear, understanding. He looked at the twins, then at Evan, then at Sira. Then he bowed, deeply. One by one, the other hunters followed. Some bowed with trembling hands, others with tears. They had finally realized the truth. The prophecy wasn't a curse, it was salvation. Sira whispered. They bow to the starlight, as they once did long ago. Evan exhaled, relief washing over him. It's over. Sira shook her head. No, it is beginning. The hunters approached carefully. Their leader placed his hand over his heart and spoke softly in their language. Sira translated, he says. They were blind. They will protect the twins now. They will follow you. Evan blinked. Me. You carried them through death, Sira said, tears shining. You stood against fear. The Heartstone chose you too. Evan looked down at the twins, now calm, glowing faintly like warm embers. He smiled. Then I'll stay. And I'll raise them with you. Sira reached for his hand, gratitude deep in her eyes. The Heartstone shimmered one last time and whispered, a new dawn rises. Outside, the storm cleared. The ice winds calmed. The world breathed again, and at the center of it all stood a human, an alien mother, and 2 newborn starlight, twins the future of the frozen world. A future that now had a protector and a chance.